last Saturday when many of you were here helping to make this church beautiful to welcome Easter. We had among us some children, and they were busy carrying the flowers into the church, the pansies. They were busy helping put the lilies up here. And at one point, Chris Stone laid out some snacks for them. And while they were having snack, I'm not sure if this is the order it happened, Father Christopher, but Father Christopher walked through the parish hall where they were, and somehow a conversation started that was very passionate. People were giving their own views, their own stories. And when I finally came through, the question I was asked is, do you believe in ghosts, Mother Maxine? They were telling stories of personal encounters with ghosts. And it is really interesting because, you know, with Halloween and with movies and whatever, children hear a lot about ghosts and supernatural things. But it's interesting that when they think that they have seen a ghost, there is nothing that you can say to make them not believe that, whether you believe it or not. This is really interesting. I think it's true that even if we are holding something that is not quite what the rest of the world believes, if you have seen it with your own eyes or heard it with your own ears or touched it, if you have experienced it with your senses, then you believe. When I was younger, maybe 11, 12, a few years ago, my little brother, the whole family actually, we were on vacation, and we were in this house, this beautiful house where we had, our own room. And then one morning I woke up, and there was my littlest brother, who may have been 7, 8 at the time, sleeping on one of those padded benches at the bottom of the foot of the bed. I said, Colin, what are you doing here? After all, he had negotiated having his own room. What is he, why is he in my room? And he said, no one is ever going to tell him that there isn't a thing called a ghost. Colin had seen his ghost that night and come into my room to have some company. When we experience it for ourselves, we become believers. That's what happened with Thomas. We call him Doubting Thomas, and in some ways that sounds as if something was lacking in Thomas. Thomas needed to be a believer. And Thomas was just saying, I want to experience what you guys have experienced. Mary came running back from the empty tomb to say, I have seen the Lord. In our reading of the gospel reading today, Jesus appears for the other disciples. Thomas wasn't there. And then they told Thomas, we have seen the Lord. So Thomas says, I want to see the Lord too. There is certainly nothing wrong with that. He had the stories. He had walked with Jesus. He had shared so many experiences with the other disciples, but this one, he hadn't. And when Jesus shows him his hands and his side, Thomas has experienced Jesus for himself. And Thomas says, my Lord and my God, in seeing for himself, in his own personal encounter, Thomas believes. We too need our personal encounter with Jesus. We need to ask for it, not be shamed into thinking because we were brought up in a Christian home or we come to church that we don't need this personal encounter. You know, Oliver, who is here today to be baptized and a member of the family, he is going to hear the stories about Jesus from his parents and godparents and the other relatives. He will hear the stories about Jesus in Sunday school. He will hear those stories, but our prayer for him is that he too will seek his personal encounter with Jesus. That he too will come to the day when he says, I know Jesus. Jesus is my Lord and my God because I've experienced Jesus for myself. That is our hope. Because having done this, you can do nothing else but serve Jesus with your whole heart and your whole mind. Your words and your actions come together. As it was read, as Kathy read in the letter from John, it says what was from the beginning, what we know about Jesus from stories, from personal stories shared by others from the beginning, but what we have heard and what we have seen with our eyes, what we have beheld and our hands have handled, that is what we now declare to you. You will declare Jesus in your lives when you have experienced Jesus for yourself. So that is the prayer for all of us today. And that's the prayer that we have for the newly baptized member of our family. Because then we become true disciples of this resurrected Lord who we celebrate every day of our life. Amen.
Amen.